Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the episode number 8 of the Happy Life Brand podcast. Today, I want to ask the question: do we place our life, our hopes, our dreams, our faith in the right hands? Because we all want to trust someone with our life. We all want to believe someone will take control, be our heroes, be the one who take over the non-easy stuff and will protect us, will care for us, will love us, and will be all happily ever after. Well, it probably happens for some of you guys out there, for some of you ladies, and I'm really happy for you. But for the rest of us, we go through life and we sometimes meet the wrong person, or we have a lack of judgment, and then we place our life in the hands of people that don't give a damn, to be frank, about what happens to us, because we are serving their own interest. We are serving their goals. We are just a mean to get to an end. Sometimes you know that. Sometimes you deeply inside of you really know it. But you want to believe you're unique. You want to believe you were chosen. So you go along. And then at one point, that person says something, does something, and you feel uncomfortable and you feel used. And there is nothing worse than feeling used and abused. Because we haven't been taught that way, for some of us. So when do we react? Do we go along? How much strength does it take for you to say, enough, thank you, I had it, I'm better off without, I deserve much better. Or, don't want to be lonely, don't want to be alone, I'd rather have someone in my life. I don't want to have a cat or a dog. But you're actually giving yourselves away. So how long do you have to wait? How long do we have to wait until we make the right choices? But then again, are there right people out there? How do you select the right ones? Or do you make sure you somehow cross your values with theirs and there are somewhere a match? Where do you set the limit? Where is the percentage that you're ready to, commit to? What's your view on that one? Well, I wasn't only talking personal. I wasn't talking only private. I'm talking in general. When we are children, our parents are supposed to be the ones taking care of us. They're supposed to be making the right decision. But for some of us, our parents are very confused, disruptive. They don't function as well as they could. What does that make us? We don't have a choice, right? We're just children. We go along. We learn that pattern. So while we are growing up, while we're going to the path of becoming an adult, then we meet other people. Whatever we've seen before, whatever we learned, whatever we cried about, whatever we were angry about, it's still there because we haven't dealt with it. I met someone the other day and she said, I wish I had normal parents. And I'm like, oh, normal. That's a word. What is normal? I don't know, maybe today I would use, do we have functional parents? Because there is no normal. Normal according to who? To you, to me, to the people across the street, to the community, to, government. Who decides who is normal? Okay, maybe we should go to a loony's place and see how they decide who's normal or not. But for children, to come up and say, we want to have normal parents. Well, let me say, I wish I had normal children too. That's a joke. But really, normal doesn't exist. Normal doesn't exist, and I think we should definitely just say functional. And I hope all of your parents out there are functional and are resisting the stress that we're in right now, are making sense of all this crazy times, and have enough strength to carry your life and the one of your children up to the next level, where hopefully things are going to smooth down and things are going to go back to a normal situation. And then you go to work. Then again, you have somebody who's been put in charge and who has, I don't know, let's call it your professional life in his hands. This one usually you don't choose. You can agree to work with that person. You can agree to be cooperative, to go along. And then maybe one day you decide, I cannot work with that person no more because he or she is too different. His or her values are way opposite than mine, and I'm going to work, but I'm stressed, I'm miserable, my body aches, I have a headache on Sunday night, I want to throw up when I get into the office. Well, that should tell you something's wrong, maybe with you, maybe with them, but something is wrong in the way that you cannot deal with that situation. And before you get even sicker than you are right now, you need to take a couple of steps back. There is so much written those days about how dealing with your stress at work and how we have a rise of stress and depression due to work. It's kind of scary. I mean, we were going to work before that, before COVID, before, I don't know when, but before. We're going to work and making a decent living and hopefully learning something and having some nice chats with our colleagues and, just go through life and hoping to get to retirement and have a good one. Okay, that doesn't work. That stopped somehow. So now you get to get new managers. Sometimes they're even younger than you. You don't know where they came from. But sometimes they're someone's nephew, niece's, someone's friend. And you have to get along. And they put you aside because, I don't know, you're too old, not their generation, not like them. And you feel set aside because you still have so much to give. So you still want to give your life into this person's hand and trust his or her brain to function and to make the right decision. It's asking a lot of us to just go into the office and trust. How do you make sure you trust anyone anymore? So if you can't trust your manager and you don't feel like working like him or her, then you have the possibility to leave. I did that once. I was working for a really nice manager. He had his flaws, don't we have all of them? But, at one point he decides he wants to change country, change company, and get a better life. Perfect, reasoning for me. Everybody wants to step up one time. Not everybody, but it was good for him. So he went. And his number 2 in the company was supposed to be the next in line. And I wouldn't take it. I went to HR, said I quit. So she said, why are you? I said, because I don't want to work with that guy. I said, but what do you mean you cannot? I said, no, I know how he is. I know the way of a manager he is, and I don't want to. I came here and I stayed because of the other manager. I like to work with him, but this guy here, it's out of the question. So I gave in my resignation. The HR from the headquarters came from another country to, make an audit of the company, and then I was asked into their office. And they said, well, can you explain why you don't want to work with that person? I said, because he's not a good manager. I cannot work with him. I don't have to, so I'm quitting. And so I left, but that person stayed, and he asked to have a meeting with me and say, why don't you work with me? I said, because I don't think you're good enough. So of course that didn't go that well. But what do you want me to say? No, I think I'm going to go somewhere else. At one point, you can stand up for yourself and you can say, you know what? You're not my type to work with. I don't believe you have the knowledge and the capabilities to do this in a proper way. I don't want to be the one supporting you. I'm not your mother. I have another path. So, goodbye, so long, Godspeed. So you can decide also at work if you want to work with these people. If they have really strange hobbies, if they have really ways to deal with you and to talk to you that you don't accept, this is a free world. I get it, not all of us have the chance to find maybe another job. But if you don't try, if you don't, set yourself to another job, to another career, maybe you want to change and orient yourself into something completely different, then maybe now would be a perfect timing to do this. Let's also talk about the people you meet in your community centers, at church, your spiritual leaders. What if they're not suited? What if they don't apply what they're asking you to do? A friend of mine said, practice what you preach. Exactly. I remember meeting a preacher, a young, super smiling American preacher, in a seminar where you would learn how to influence people with neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, some will call it manipulation. But he came for 3 weeks to find out how to, first of all, get more people into his church and how to make them give more money. And every day he was coming with a new shirt, dressed differently. And I'm like, okay, but maybe I'm naive, but shouldn't be humble, right? Okay, yeah, I know, you're thinking, oh boy, she's too naive. So I walked to him, I said, hey, have this great shirt. This is really nice. You look good in this. And you will see how happy he was with himself. And he was just smiling. And I said, I've seen you every day with a different shirt. How come? And he told me just blatantly out, oh, I have about 200 shirts. And I couldn't just stop myself but shouting out, you're such a shame, such a disgrace. I mean, seriously, you're a preacher, you're asking people to give money for your church so you can do good, and you're buying yourself 200 shirts? So he went like, but every year I give 2 or 3 to poor people. I mean, I was taken by surprise. I'm like, this is so shameful. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. Honestly. Don't ask people to give you the last money, the last dime, because you're going to go and feed the poor in Haiti or any other developing countries, and you fly with your private jet and you wear your 250 shirts and 300 shoes. How does that work for you? Okay, call me naive, call me Alice in Wonderland. I have other ideals. I have other dreams about what it means to do good. So again, watch out who you give your face and watch out who you're following. Make sure that the people you trust, own your trust, deserve your trust. Trust is a bit like respect. You don't have to give it to them right away. They need to be good enough to get it from you. They need to deserve it, okay? Show that they are really someone you can trust. But that's only my point of view. I'm a hippie, so you don't need to share my opinion on this one. And same goes for politicians. for people that are running your village, your county, your country, the world. Do they share your values? Of course, during election time, they will have all of your values, or most of them, depending where you are. They will tell you the words you want to hear. They will feed you with honey water, and they will be so cool and so exactly what you need. But it's not true, right? Or maybe just half of it. So again, what is the percentage you're ready to compromise? When I look at the amount of money that is spent on election time, in whichever country, I think it's sickening, because I'm thinking of all the good you could do with that money. But I guess this is the game. This is the game of politics. But like for any other leader, we should be able to, choose the one that is going to make a difference. But is going to make a difference for a larger number, right? Let's not be too disappointed, because when we're too disappointed, we tend to be stressed and depressed, and then we're not functioning. And we want this world to somehow function for our generation and the next one. And we know they are going to have a hell of a time to run that world. So let's try to be people that they would vote for, that they would choose to have as parents, that they would choose to have as leaders, because you cannot ask them to be better than you are. You cannot ask them to make it different if you don't inspire. I always think you need to inspire by example, and you need to lead by example. So be more cautious who you give your trust and your faith to, because I'm sure your choices are the good ones. You make them according to your values and your beliefs and your personal history. So look at what you've become and look who can take this further. And if nobody can, then maybe you should be the one leading. Maybe you can make a difference. So this was my pep talk for today. This is the end of episode 8. Thank you for listening. And put your faith in somebody who really deserves your trust and your voice. Take care.